It has implications for how we view our democracy. It has implications for how we think about the rule of law. It has implications for what we think is the standard of justice for everyone and whether or not there's a double standard. It has implications for the political race in 2024. It has so many implications. It is utterly unprecedented. And so it's not surprising that every outlet in the country wants to cover it. And by the way, it might be just step one.
Right. Well, I'm asking you in part because of this case. We can talk about step 2, step 3, but this case specifically,
well, the first
Bragg
case is always going to get a lot of attention.
Yeah.
Because it's the first one.
But it's the least important, right? Isn't it?
I don't know if it's the least important one. I think there's an argument to be made of the 4 things that Trump has criminal exposure on that we know about and that are ongoing. It's the least serious conduct because it doesn't go like some of the other matters do to the core of American democracy,
right,
or to national security classification and sensitivity. So yeah, I think that's not an unfair thing to say.
Now, you know Alvin Bragg.
I do.
Brought this case. There are a lot of people out there, including some Democrats, that are saying that this is politicized. These charges were not brought under a previous prosecutor. Talk a little bit about what you think is motivating Bragg in this case.
I think what's motivating Alvin Bragg in this case, who used to work for me, and in full disclosure, I endorsed him in his race for Manhattan DA. I haven't agreed with everything he's done. He's done some things on the local crime side, street crime side, that I think he's been criticized for, and he's answered some of that. I think he's made the decision based on the facts and law. Like, this is a person who was handed another case against Donald Trump relating to inflated assets or deflated assets, depending on what the Trump organization was trying to do. Got so much criticism for it that 2 people resigned from his office, who are also well-known criminal defense attorneys, but also former prosecutors, angry at Alvin Bragg
for not
pursuing a particular case against Trump. Now, you can disagree with that. We won't know because we don't know all the facts when we're in the grand jury. But the fact that he had a case like that handed to him by well-respected prosecutors who were really angry that he didn't pursue it, that's not the kind of person who's grasping at straws and jumping at the first opportunity to charge the former president of the United States. That, to me, shows that he looked carefully, deliberated. And again, we can disagree. Maybe there's a case that should have been brought. Maybe this one shouldn't be brought. We'll be able to figure that out in the fullness of time.
Yeah.
So I give him the benefit of the doubt because of that track record and experience. And here he saw another case, and reasonable people can differ. These are judgment calls that need to be made. Is it the most serious crime in the history of the world? No, it's an E felony, 34 E felonies, which is the lowest level of felony. It's the lowest level of felony in New York.
That is a classification of felony.
Classification of a felony. It doesn't mean excellent. It doesn't mean electric.
Yeah.
But at the same time, what I keep coming back to is, when the supporters of Trump say again and again from their podiums that nobody would ever be prosecuted for something like this, it's too trivial. I have 2 responses. One, falsification of business records stepped up to a felony. It's charged in New York State all the time. And this particular conduct that's at the core of the question with respect to Donald Trump, in the Manhattan DA's case, has been charged successfully against another actual human being who you may have heard of, Michael Cohen. So it's not like people who've engaged in similar conduct.
Donald Trump's former attorney.
Yes. Pled guilty to it in the Southern District of New York, my former office. Went to prison in part for this. The judge thought it was a crime and accepted the guilty plea. So you have somebody who definitionally is less culpable and responsible for this very conduct. I think you can make a powerful argument that it's good and right and proper to charge the more culpable person, Donald Trump.